So this is a bedtime stories by Nedira from Brooklyn, New York. Title is The Tale of the Lion's Whisker. In the description, it says, this is the folktale story of the lion's whisker from Ethiopia in Africa. It is part of our stories from Cultures of Color collection. It is brought to you by Stories to Grow By. So, I'll narrate this for you. This is the story. Long ago, in Ethiopia, a woman named Leah married a man who had a son. His wife had died several years before. Try as Leah might, she could not seem to spark a connection with the child. She offered the boy food, and he refused to eat. She spoke softly to him, and he turned away. She sat next to him, and he would get up and walk away. After several months of this, Leah didn't know what to do. Now in Leah's village, there was a medicine man, a healer, who lived up in the mountains. When anyone in the village was sick or hurting, a visit to him would do the trick. Most of the time, Leah felt she could fix her own problems, but not this time. She needed help. As Leah came up to the healer's hut, she saw the door was open. The old doctor said, without turning around, "I hear you coming. What's the problem?" She introduced herself and explained. "Ah, yes," he said. "I understand. What do you expect me to do about it?" "Make me a potion, an amulet," cried Leah. "Anything. Whatever it takes to get this child to respond to me." The medicine man looked her in the eye. "Young woman," he said, "this is not the same as fixing a broken bone or curing an ear infection. I'm going to need some time to think about. Come back in 3 days." 3 days later, Leah returned to the hut. "Leah," said the old man with a smile, "I have good news for you. There's a potion that will change the child's behavior towards you. But you should know that it needs a special ingredient. You must bring me a whisker from a live lion." "A lion's whisker?" said Leah with shock. "Such a thing is not possible." "You want your stepson to turn around?" he shouted. "Bring me a whisker from a lion." Then he turned his back. "There's nothing more to say. As you can see, I'm a very busy man." That night, Leah tossed and turned. How could she get a whisker from a live lion? The next day, she left the house. In her hand was a bowl of rice covered with meat sauce. Leah went to a grove of shady trees, where lion tracks had been seen, and lion was known to live. She walked up to a safe distance from the shady trees and very quietly set the bowl down on the grass. Then, as quietly and safely as she could, she backed away and went home. The next day, at the same time, she took another bowl of rice covered with meat sauce to the cave. When she saw that the old bowl was empty, she took it and put down the new, full one. Again, she left quietly. Every day she did this. Months went by. Leah never saw the lion, but she knew from footprints on the ground that it was the lion who was eating her food. And then one day, she noticed the lion's head poking out from behind some trees. Being sure not to look the lion in the eye, she stepped very slowly to the same spot as always. She put down the new, full bowl of food, picked up the empty bowl, and stepped away. Day by day, the lion's head poked from behind trees that were closer and closer to where she set down the bowl. Until one morning, the lion was sitting next to the empty bowl when she arrived, waiting for her. This time, she sat and waited while the lion ate. When he was done, she patted its thick fur, just like a house cat. She looked into its gentle lion eyes and saw that it now trusted her. Actually, she thought, it is a rather friendly creature when you get to know it. This went for a while until finally Leah thought the time had come to see if she could get the whisker. The next day, she brought with her a small knife. After she set down the bowl of food, and the lion allowed her to pet its head, she said in a low voice, "Oh, dearest lion, may I have please just one of your many fine whiskers?" While petting the lion with one hand, she quickly cut off the whisker with the other, careful not to hurt the lion in any way. "Thank you, my gentle friend," she said. Quickly, she ran into the medicine man's hut, holding the whisker tight in her hand. She cried, "I have it! I have the lion's whisker!" "You don't say," said the healer, turning around. "From a live lion?" "Yes," she said. "Tell me," said he. How did you do it?" She explained the steps. With pride, she handed him the whisker. The healer looked at it with care. Then he walked over to the fire and threw it in, when it burned up right away to a crisp. "What have you done?" Leah cried. "What it took for me to get that?" "Leah," said the old tiger softly, "you don't need a whisker. Tell me, is this child really more dangerous than a lion? If a wild beast will respond to your patient, loving care, don't you think a child who misses his mother will too?" Leah was startled, but she thought maybe, and by the time she got back home, she knew what she could do. And that's the end of the story. I think it's a pretty good story. It teaches you about how to be a good mother, a loving and caring mother. So, what it took for a child to respond to is a gentle and loving and caring personality. Yeah, like any mother will do to her child, right? So that's the end of the story. I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.